Ladies, let me ask you something. Have you ever wondered what men truly want? I'm not talking about the shallow surface level desires that society constantly feeds us. I'm talking about the real, raw, unspoken cravings that most men would never dare admit. Sometimes not even to themselves. Because here's the truth. What men secretly desire goes far beyond sex. I know. The world constantly tells us that men are simple creatures driven by physical attraction and nothing more that if you look a certain way, wear the right clothes, or master a few seductive moves, you'll have him eating out of your hand. But what if I told you that this belief is a trap, that women who only focus on the physical miss out on the deeper, more powerful ways to capture a man's heart? The ways that make him crave you, need you, and ever want to let you go. Because the truth is, a man might be drawn to beauty, but he falls in love with something much deeper, something that keeps him thinking about you long after you've left the room, something that makes him see you as irreplaceable. And today, I'm going to reveal exactly what that something is. These are the 7 things men desire more than sex. The 7 things that make a man feel so deeply connected to you that no other woman can compare. And trust me, once you understand these secrets, your entire approach to attraction will shift. You'll no longer chase, worry, or wonder if you're enough, because you will become the kind of woman that men cannot resist. So let's dive into the first most powerful thing men secretly crave. One, feeling deeply respected. Let's strip away the illusions for a moment. At his core, beneath the layers of masculinity he wears like armor, there is one thing every man craves more than anything else: respect. Not admiration for his looks, not validation for his success, and not even love in the way women understand it. No, what truly stirs a man's soul and makes him feel alive is the feeling that he is deeply, genuinely, and unshakably respected by the woman in his life. The problem is, most women don't realize just how powerful this is. They assume that affection, seduction, or being the cool girl is enough to keep a man hooked. But the truth, a man can be physically attracted to many women. He can be charmed by beauty, teased by wit, and lured in by chemistry, yet without respect, his connection to a woman remains shallow. It's like a firework, brilliant for a moment, then gone. But when a man feels truly respected, something changes in him. He becomes protective, committed, devoted. He looks at a woman not as an option, but as his person. But what does respect actually look like to a man? It's not just about words, though words do matter. It's about a deep, almost primal acknowledgement of his strength, his decisions, and his place in the relationship respect to a man is when he feels that you trust him, not in a superficial way, but in a way that says, I believe in you. I see you as a capable, strong, and intelligent man. And believe me, when a woman embodies this kind of respect, it awakens something powerful in a man. It makes him feel like a leader, a protector, a king. And when a man feels like a king, how do you think he will treat his queen? With the highest level of devotion, admiration, and desire. Now, this is where a lot of women misunderstand. Many think that respect means being overly agreeable, never challenging him, or inflating his ego with empty compliments. That's not respect. That's pandering. And men can sense insincerity instantly. Respect is not about blind submission. It's about seeing the weight of his role in your life and honor. That a woman who respects a man doesn't try to control him. She doesn't belittle his choices or constantly question his competence. Instead, she trusts his judgment, values his leadership, and makes him feel that he is capable of providing, protecting, and leading. Think about it. Why do men gravitate toward jobs, sports, and even friendships that challenge them and demand their best? Because deep down, every man wants to prove himself. Not just to the world, but to the people who matter. And if the woman he loves doesn't see him as strong, capable, and worthy, he will seek that validation elsewhere. He might not even realize he's doing it, but he will start distancing himself, pulling away emotionally, engaging in self-destructive behaviors, or even seeking admiration from other women who make him feel more valued. It's not because he doesn't love his partner, but because a man cannot thrive where he does not feel respected. And here's the kicker. When a man feels disrespected, nothing else you do will matter. You can be the most beautiful woman in the world. You can give him the most passionate nights of his life. You can cook clean and cater to his every need. But if he feels like you don't respect him, his heart will never be yours completely. This is why so many relationships crumble without warning. Women think, but I gave him everything. I was loyal. I was caring. I was supportive. Why did he pull away? The answer is simple, because he didn't feel like a man in your presence. But here's the good news. When a woman knows how to make a man feel respected, she holds a kind of power that no other woman can compete with. She becomes his safe place, his motivation, his greatest source of energy and passion. He wants to protect her, to cherish her, to make her feel like the most treasured woman in the world, not because she demands it, not because she manipulates him, but because he feels so deeply seen and valued by her that he can't help but give her his best. So how do you make a man feel this kind of respect? It's simpler than you think. Listen to him, not just to respond, but to truly understand. When he shares his ideas, his dreams, or his struggles, don't dismiss them. Engage with them. Show him that you value his thoughts, that his opinions matter. Trust his decisions. This doesn't mean you can't have an opinion, but it does mean that you don't constantly undermine him or second guess his ability to handle things. When a man feels that his woman believes in him, he rises to meet that expectation. Appreciate his efforts, no matter how small. When he fixes something for you, when he makes a decision to support you, when he puts effort into the relationship, acknowledge it. Men don't need constant praise, but they do need to know that their contributions are seen. And here's something crucial. Never, ever humiliate him, especially in public. Nothing destroys a man's love for a woman faster than feeling belittled, ridiculed, led, or emasculated in front of others. It might seem like just a joke to you, but to him it's a wound that doesn't heal. If you have an issue with him, bring it up in private with respect and grace, because when a man feels like his woman protects his dignity, he will protect her with his life. Respect isn't about worshiping a man or ignoring your own needs. It's about understanding how men are wired. It's about realizing that a man who feels respected will naturally become more loving, more affectionate, and more deeply committed. A man who feels respected doesn't look elsewhere, doesn't pull away, doesn't lose interest. Instead, he pours his heart into the woman who makes him feel like the best version of himself. And here's where it gets even more fascinating. Respect doesn't just make a man love you more, it makes him desire you more. Yes, you heard that right. When a man feels respected, he feels powerful, masculine, strong. And when a man feels truly masculine, he is magnetically drawn to the woman who makes him feel that way. This is why a woman who understands respect will never have to chase a man. He will be the one chasing her, cherishing her, and prioritizing her above all others. So if you've ever felt like a man was slipping away, if you've ever wondered why he lost interest, or if you've ever felt like no matter what you do, it's never enough, ask yourself this: does he feel respected? Because if the answer is no, then that is the missing piece. But if the answer is yes, then you, my dear, have unlocked a kind of attraction that is more powerful than beauty, more intoxicating than seduction, and more irresistible than any game you could ever play. And now I have a question for you. What if I told you that there's something even more powerful than respect? Something that makes a man not only want you, but need you in a way he can't explain, because respect is just the beginning. There's another secret desire that men hold even deeper, one that goes beyond admiration and straight into the core of his soul. And once you understand this, you'll see a transformation in the way men look at you, chase you, and love you. Are you ready to find out what it is? Because trust me, this next one will change everything. 2, being seen as a hero. There's something about the way a man's heart beats when he feels truly needed. Not in a dependent, clingy way, but in a way that makes him feel like he is a hero in a woman's life. And no, I'm not talking about the kind of hero who wears a cape and fights villains. I'm talking about the deep primal need every man has to feel like he is valuable, like he is irreplaceable to the woman he loves most. Women don't realize this, but men are wired to seek purpose and significance in their relationships. They don't just want to be loved, they want to feel like they make a difference, like their presence, their strength, their protection matters to you. The most powerful thing a woman can do for a man is make him feel like her protector, her provider, her rock. Even if she is independent, even if she doesn't need him in a traditional sense. See, the modern world teaches women to be strong, self-sufficient, and not to rely on a man for anything. And while independence is a beautiful thing, here's the twist. Men don't fall in love with women because they need them. They fall in love with women who make them feel needed. And yes, there is a difference. A man wants to step up for you. He wants to solve problems for you. He wants to feel like your life is better, safer, and more complete because he is in it. And when he doesn't feel this, he starts to feel lost in the relationship, like he could be replaced by any other man. Or worse, like he doesn't even matter. Think about it. Have you ever seen a man in love, truly in love? He wants to take care of his woman. He wants to fix things, to offer solutions, to be the one she turns to when she's in trouble. And it's not because he thinks she's weak, it's because it makes him feel strong. This is what many women miss. They think men want women who never ask for help, who never rely on them for anything, who act like they have everything under control at all times. But the reality, that kind of energy pushes men away. It makes them feel useless, unnecessary, and disconnected, because a man's deepest desire isn't just to be loved, it's to be valued. And when he feels like he has no role in your life, when he feels like his presence makes no difference, that's when he starts pulling away, not because he doesn't care, but because he doesn't feel needed. Now, you might be thinking, but I don't want to act helpless just to make a man feel good. And you're absolutely right. This isn't about pretending to be someone you're not. It's about understanding male psychology and learning how to invite a man into your life in a way that makes him feel significant. It's about giving him a role to play without sacrificing your own strength. And the best part, you don't have to do anything manipulative or inauthentic to make this happen. In fact, it's often the simplest things that make a man feel like a hero in your life. asking for his advice on something important, letting him open a jar for you, or even just telling him how much you appreciate something he did for you. These things light up a man's soul because in those small moments, he feels like he is fulfilling something, like he is stepping into his natural role as your protector and provider. And this isn't just about physical protection, it's emotional too. When you trust him with your feelings, when you let him support you in your vulnerable moments, when you show him that he is the one you turn to when you need strength, he feels a sense of purpose in the relationship. And let me tell you something. When a man feels like he has a purpose with you, he will never want to leave. He will feel bonded to you in a way that no physical attraction could ever replicate. Because for men, this isn't just about ego. It's about biological wiring. Men are built to protect, to lead, to step up. And when you give a man the opportunity to be that for you, he feels connected to his own masculinity in the most powerful way. So how do you apply this in a real, genuine way? Simple. Stop pushing him away when he tries to help. Let him fix things for you, even if you could do it yourself. Let him open the door, pay for dinner, carry the heavy bags, not because you need him to, but because it allows him to step into his masculine energy and, most importantly, appreciate him when he does. Because a man who feels unappreciated will eventually stop trying. He will withdraw. He will shut down. He will feel like he has no role in your life. And once a man feels like that, it's nearly impossible to bring him back. But when he feels admired, needed, and valued, that's when his love for you deepens beyond anything he's ever felt before. And here's where it gets even better. When a man feels like a hero in your life, something magical happens. He doesn't just love you, he desires you. He starts looking at you with new eyes, with a level of passion and devotion that goes beyond attraction, because suddenly being with you makes him feel like more of a man. And let me tell you, that feeling is intoxicating to him. This is why women who understand this secret never have to chase men. Men chase them. Because being around them makes men feel strong, powerful, needed. Now I have to ask you, have you ever had a moment where a man pulled away even when everything seemed to be going well? Have you ever felt like no matter what you did, it was never enough to keep him interested? If so, ask yourself this. Did he feel like he was a hero in your life? Because if the answer is no, then that's exactly what was missing. But if you want to turn that around, if you want to make a man see you as the woman he never wants to lose, this is how you do it. Make him feel like your hero, not by pretending to be weak, by giving him space to step up for you, by letting him see his strength through your eyes. And now I have a little challenge for you. If you're loving this video so far, if you're starting to see how powerful this is, I want you to like this video and comment number 1 down below. Because ladies, when you understand these secrets, you become the kind of woman men can't get enough of. And trust me, we are just getting started. If you haven't already, make sure to subscribe so you don't miss what's coming next. Because the next thing men secretly crave, it's even deeper than this. And once you understand it, you'll never look at men or relationships the same way again. Are you ready? Because I promise you this next one will change everything. 3, emotional safety and acceptance. There's something that every man secretly longs for, something so powerful that it determines whether he will fully open his heart or remain distant, always keeping a part of himself hidden. It's not about looks, not about how fun or exciting a woman is, and not even about how much she adore him. It's about emotional safety. The feeling that with this one woman, he can be his truest self without fear of judgment, rejection, or shame. Most people assume that men don't care about emotional connection as much as women do. Society teaches us that men are strong, logical, and emotionally independent, that they don't need to be understood the way women do. But here's the truth. Men crave emotional safety just as much, if not more, than women. They just don't know how to express it. And in many cases, they don't even realize it's what they're searching for. Think about it. Why do so many men struggle with opening up? Why do they pull away when things get too emotional? It's not because they don't feel deeply. It's because the world has conditioned them to believe that showing emotions makes them weak. From a young age, boys are told to man up, to stop crying, to handle their problems alone. They learn that vulnerability is dangerous, that it can be used against them, that expressing their fears, insecurities, or doubts might lead to rejection. And so most men grow up carrying the weight of their emotions in silence, never allowing themselves to fully express what's inside until one day they meet a woman who changes everything. A woman who makes them feel that for once in their life they don't have to pretend. When a man feels emotionally safe with a woman, something inside him shifts. He begins to share parts of himself that he never shares with anyone else. He starts to reveal his deepest thoughts, his struggles, his worries, not because he's weak, but because he finally feels like someone sees him beyond the surface. This is rare for men. Very few people, sometimes not even their closest friends or family, ever get to witness a man's true, unfiltered emotions. But when a woman creates that space for him, she becomes irreplaceable. She becomes the one person he can turn to, the one person who understands him in a world that expects him to always have it all together. And that kind of bond, it's stronger than any physical attraction, stronger than any game or chase. Because once a man feels this kind of acceptance, he doesn't just want a woman, he needs her. But here's where most women go wrong. They want a man to open up, but the moment he does, they don't know how to handle it. They judge him, criticize him, or even worse, use his vulnerability against him later. And that is the quickest way to destroy his trust forever. Because for a man, opening up is a risk that if he shows his true self, if he lets you see his flaws, you might think less of him, that you might lose respect for him. And respect, as we already talked about, is everything to a man. This is why so many men shut down instead of sharing their emotions. Because the pain of being misunderstood or dismissed is worse than the pain of keeping it all inside. So how do you create emotional safety for a man? It's simpler than you think. First, be present when he shares something with you, no matter how small. Listen without interrupting, without trying to fix, without immediately offering solutions. Just let him be heard. This alone is incredibly healing for a man because most of the time he doesn't want a solution. He just wants to feel like his emotions matter. Second, never make him feel weak for having feelings. If a man tells you something vulnerable and you respond with judgment, sarcasm, or indifference, he will never open up to you again. Instead, acknowledge what he's feeling. Let him know that his emotions are valid, that he doesn't have to be perfect to be worthy of love. And here's the most important part. Don't betray his trust. If a man shares something deeply personal with you, that moment is sacred. If you ever bring it up in an argument, use it to hurt him or tell someone else about it, you have destroyed the emotional safety he felt with you. And once that's gone, it's almost impossible to get back, because men do not open up easily. And when they do, it means they see you as someone special. If that trust is broken, he will retreat, not just from you, but from emotional vulnerability altogether. He will tell himself that he was right to keep his feelings locked away, that he should never have let himself be seen, and he will never give you that part of himself again. Now, this is where it gets even more fascinating. When a man feels emotionally safe, he doesn't just connect with you on a deeper level, he also desires you more, because emotional safety is intimacy. It's what makes a man feel close, bonded, and attached in a way that goes beyond attraction. A man can be physically drawn to many women, but he will only truly give himself to the one who makes him feel completely accepted. When he finds that, he will never want to lose it. This is why some women seem to have men who are completely devoted to them, while others struggle to keep a man's attention. It's not about looks. It's not about playing hard to get. It's about how a man feels in your presence. Does he feel judged, pressured, and misunderstood, or does he feel safe, valued, and free to be himself? That difference is everything. And here's something even more interesting. When a man feels emotionally safe, he becomes a better version of himself. He starts to open up in ways he never has before. He becomes more affectionate, more expressive, more in tune with his emotions, because he finally has a space where he doesn't have to perform, where he doesn't have to pretend to be strong all the time. And that right there is the key to making a man truly fall in love. Not just with your beauty, not just with your charm, but with the way you make him feel. So ask yourself, does the man in your life feel emotionally safe with you? Does he feel like he can share his fears without being judged? Does he feel like he can be his real self without having to constantly prove his worth? Because if he does, then you have something far more powerful than attraction. You have his soul. And once a man feels that kind of emotional connection, he will never let it go. But if he doesn't, no matter how much chemistry you have, no matter how much fun you share, there will always be a distance between you, a wall that he keeps up to protect himself. Now, here's where it gets even more exciting. Because while emotional safety is one of the deepest things men crave, it's not the only thing. There's another secret that makes a man not just emotionally invested, but completely obsessed with the woman, something that taps into his very purpose in the relationship, that makes him feel so deeply connected to you that he never even thinks about being with someone else. And once you understand this next piece, you'll have the key to making a man truly yours. Are you ready? Because trust me, this next one changes everything. 4, a sense of purpose in the relationship. Men don't just want love. They don't just want a beautiful woman by their side, someone who laughs at their jokes and enjoys their company. They want purpose, a reason to show up, a reason to give, a reason to commit. This is something that most women don't realize. A man stays where he feels he has a role, where he feels important, where he feels like he is contributing to something bigger than himself. Because for men, relationships are not just about feelings. They are about identity, about legacy, about meaning. A man needs to feel like he matters in the relationship, that his presence, his effort, his choices all make a difference in your life. Without that, he may enjoy being with you, but he will never feel deeply rooted in the connection. And if he doesn't feel rooted, he will eventually start to drift, not because he doesn't care, but because a man without purpose in a relationship is a man without direction. Now, this is where a lot of women unknowingly sabotage their relationships. They get so caught up in what they need from a man, love, time commitment, that they forget what he needs in return. And no, it's not just sex, attention, or admiration. It's a reason to show up fully, a reason to invest, to give his best, to see this relationship as something he cannot afford to lose. Think about it. A man can be physically attracted to many women. He can even have emotional connections with more than one person. But the woman he commits to, the woman he can't walk away from, that's the woman who makes him feel like he has a real purpose with her, like he is not just a passive participant in her life, but an essential part of it. So what does this look like in real life? It's simple. Men need to feel like their presence adds value to your world. They need to feel like they bring something to the table that no one else does. And no, this doesn't mean making them responsible for your happiness, nor does it mean pretending to be helpless so they feel needed. It means creating a dynamic where he feels like his efforts, his wisdom, his strength, his love are all truly valued and appreciated. And most importantly, where he feels like he is growing in the relationship, not just existing in it. Because a man's nature is to build, to expand, to create something meaningful. If he feels like a relationship is stagnant, if he feels like it's just about routine and obligation, he will lose motivation. But if he feels like the relationship is helping him become more, helping him evolve, helping him feel like the best version of himself, he will never want to leave. This is why men often chase careers, goals, and challenges so passionately, because those things give them a sense of purpose. And the truth is, if a man does not feel that same sense of purpose in his relationship, he will start to look elsewhere, not necessarily for another woman, but for something that gives him that fire, that sense of direction. This is why so many relationships fall apart, not because of a lack of love, but because of a lack of growth. A man who feels like he is just coasting in a relationship without any deeper meaning or contribution will start to check out emotionally first, then physically. And this is where a lot of women get blindsided. They think everything was fine. He never said anything was wrong. But what they don't realize is that he didn't feel compelled to stay. He didn't feel like he was building something meaningful with her. And without that, the connection slowly fades. So how do you make a man feel like he has a real purpose with you? First, acknowledge and appreciate what he brings to your life. Not just in terms of material things, but in the way he supports you, the way he makes your life easier, the way he challenges you to be better. Men need to hear that. They make an impact. If he gives you advice and you follow it, let him know how much helped. If he does something thoughtful, don't just assume he knows you appreciate it. Tell him the smallest acknowledgments can mean the world to a man who wants to feel like his actions matter. Second, allow him to lead in certain areas. This doesn't mean giving up your independence, but it does mean recognizing that men are naturally wired to want to take charge in some aspects of life. If you constantly reject his input, if you always insist on handling everything yourself, he will eventually stop trying. And when a man stops trying, it's not because he doesn't care, it's because he doesn't feel like he has a place in your life. But here's where it gets even more powerful. When a man feels like he has a purpose in your relationship, he doesn't just stay, he thrives. He becomes more devoted, more affectionate, more engaged, because he sees the relationship as something that is not just giving him love, but giving him meaning. Once a man attaches meaning to a relationship, he will fight for it with everything he has. This is why you'll see men do extraordinary things for the women who make them feel this way. Why some men will go to the ends of the earth for their partners, while others can barely put in the effort to text back. It all comes down to how much purpose he feels in the relationship. And here's where it gets even better. When a man feels needed in this way, not just for what he provides, but for who he is, his attraction deepens. He sees you not just as someone he loves, but as someone he wants to protect, provide for, and grow with. And that level of commitment, it's unshakable. A man might desire many women, but he will only truly dedicate himself to the one who makes him feel like his presence in her life has true significance. Now, I have a question for you. Have you ever been in a situation where a man seemed to lose interest for no obvious reason, where everything seemed fine on the surface, but suddenly he started pulling away? So ask yourself this: did he feel like he had a real purpose in your life? Did he feel like his presence made your world better? That his role in your relationship was meaningful? Because if the answer is no, that might be exactly why he started to drift. But here's the exciting part. This is something you can change. You can start creating that sense of purpose right now. You can make a man feel so deeply invested in the relationship that he never even thinks about walking away. And if you're loving this video so far, if you're starting to see how powerful this is, I want you to like this video and comment number 1 down below. Because ladies, when you understand these secrets, you become the kind of woman men can't let go of. And trust me, we are only getting started. If you haven't already, make sure to subscribe so you don't miss what's coming next, because the next thing men secretly crave, it's even deeper than this. And once you understand it, you'll have a power over men that is absolutely magnetic. Are you ready? Because what's coming next will change everything. 5, playfulness and joy. There is something deeply magnetic about a woman who knows how to bring joy into a man's life. A woman who understands that while passion, connection, and deep conversations are important, laughter and lightheartedness are just as essential. Most women underestimate just how much men crave playfulness, not just in the early stages of attraction, but throughout an entire relationship. When a man is with a woman who makes life feel lighter, who knows how to have fun, who isn't constantly weighed down by stress or drama, he feels an irresistible pull toward her. It's a kind of magic that keeps him coming back, that makes him think about her, even when she's not around, because with her, the world feels easier, brighter, and more enjoyable. Most women focus on trying to be the perfect girlfriend or wife, being caring, supportive, understanding, and while all of that matters, there's one thing that keeps a relationship feeling alive no matter how long you've been together: playfulness. A man doesn't just want a partner, he wants a best friend. Someone he can joke with, tease, have adventures with, someone who makes him feel young, excited, and free. Because let's face it, the world is filled with pressure. Men carry a lot of silent burdens, expectations to succeed, to be strong, to handle responsibilities. But when he's with a woman who makes him laugh, who reminds him not to take life so seriously, who brings out his fun side, that's when he feels truly at home. And yet many women lose this part of themselves in the beginning. When everything is new, it's easy to be playful, to flirt, to joke, to keep things exciting. But as time goes on, the weight of responsibilities, routines, and unspoken expectations start to replace that light. Energy conversations become about bills, schedules, and obligations, and little by little, the joy in the relationship begins to fade, not because the love is gone, but because the sense of fun, the thing that made you both feel so alive together, is no longer there. And this is when men start to withdraw, not necessarily because they've fallen out of love, but because they've stopped feeling the same way when they're around you. What most women don't realize is that playfulness is a form of intimacy. It creates a bond that no deep conversation or romantic gesture can replace. Because when you and a man can laugh together, tease each other, share inside jokes, and be silly without judgment, that's when he feels closest to you. That's when he starts to associate you with pure happiness. And when a man connects a woman with happiness, he will always crave being near her. It's not just about attraction, it's about emotional addiction. So, what does this actually look like? It's about finding ways to keep the spark of playfulness alive, no matter how long you've been together. It's about teasing him in a way that makes him smile, not in a way that makes him feel criticized. It's about being unpredictable. Sometimes planning something spontaneous, doing something fun together that shakes up the routine. It's about being able to laugh at yourself instead of taking everything so seriously. Because one of the sexiest things a woman can have is an easy, joyful energy. A woman who can make mistakes and laugh them off. A woman who doesn't get easily offended, who doesn't let small inconveniences ruin her mood, who knows how to create fun no matter where she is. And here's where it gets really interesting. Playfulness doesn't just make a man feel good. It makes him feel attracted. It triggers something in him that goes beyond logic, something instinctive. Think about it. Have you ever noticed how men gravitate toward women who seem to be having the most fun? It's because fun is magnetic. It's why men chase after the woman who doesn't overanalyze everything, who isn't constantly stressed, who has that effortless way of making everything feel more exciting. This is why confidence and playfulness go hand in hand. A confident woman doesn't take herself too seriously. She isn't afraid to look silly sometimes. She knows that real beauty isn't just about how she looks, it's about the energy she brings. And that energy, that's what a man remembers long after the moment has passed. He won't always remember what you wore, what you said, or even what you did together. But he will always remember how you made him feel. And if you make him feel like life with you is an adventure, like no matter how tough things get, there will always be room for laughter, for play, for excitement. He will never want to let that go, because in a world full of stress, of endless responsibilities, of people constantly taking things too seriously, a woman who knows how to be playful is rare. And men know this. They know that a woman like that is someone they can truly escape with, build memories with, never get tired of. But here's something most women don't realize. Playfulness isn't about forcing excitement. It's not about constantly planning big adventures or trying to entertain him all the time. It's about your energy. It's about how you approach life, how you handle situations, how you bring lightness into even the most ordinary moments. It's about turning something simple, like cooking dinner together, into something fun. It's about playfully competing over silly things, about challenging him in a way that excites him, about keeping that spark of flirtation alive no matter how long you've been together. And this is where so many relationships go wrong, because as time passes, couples start acting more like business partners than lovers. They start treating the relationship like a series of checklists, responsibilities, and obligations instead of something that should make them feel good. But when you feel like he can take on the world, But here's something most women don't realize. Admiration is not the same as flattery. Men can tell the difference. A woman who truly admires a man doesn't just shower him with compliments. She makes him feel that admiration through her actions. She trusts him. She believes in him. She doesn't constantly question his judgment, doesn't try to control him, doesn't make him feel like he has to prove himself over and over again. A man who feels trusted feels admired, and that feeling, that's what makes a man obsessed with you. Now here's where it gets even more interesting. A man doesn't just want to be admired for what he already is. He wants to be admired for what he is becoming. This is why men are drawn to women who see potential in them. A woman who doesn't just admire what he has accomplished, but who admires the man he is trying to be. When a man feels like a woman, sees his growth, believes in his future, trusts his ability to rise, even when he's struggling, he bonds with her on a level he doesn't fully understand. Because suddenly she's not just a partner, she's his greatest source of inspiration. And a man who feels inspired by a woman, he never wants to lose her. This is why admiration isn't just about words. It's about energy. It's about how you look at him when he talks about his dreams. It's about how you respond when he's facing challenges. It's about whether you make him feel capable or doubtful. If you make a man feel like he can do anything with you by his side, he will fight for you with everything he has. But if you make him feel like he's never quite enough, he will start pulling away, even if he doesn't realize why. And here's where it gets even more powerful. When a man feels admired, beyond his looks, beyond his status, beyond what he gives you, his desire for you skyrockets. Because now the connection isn't just about love, it's about identity. He starts to see you as the one person in the world who truly understands him, the one person who doesn't just love him. But here's the mistake many women make. They start off admiring a man, but over time, they begin to focus on what's missing instead of what's great about him. They start comparing him to other men. They start criticizing more than appreciating. And little by little, the admiration that once made him feel so deeply connected starts to disappear. And when admiration disappears, so does desire, not because the love is gone, but because the feeling that made him want to give his all is no longer there. So ask yourself, does the man in your life feel admired? Does he feel like you see his effort, his growth, his worth beyond what he provides? Because if he does, you have something more powerful than attraction. You have a bond that no other woman can break. And if he doesn't, that might be the missing piece. But here's the exciting part. You can bring admiration back. You can start making a man feel valued in a way that reignites everything. And when you do, you'll see just how powerful this secret truly is. Because a man who feels truly admired by a woman will do everything in his power to keep her. And now I have a little challenge for you. If you're loving this video so far, if this is making you see men differently, I want you to like this video and comment number 1 down below. Because when you understand these secrets, you become the woman men can't forget. And trust me, we are not done yet. If you haven't already, make sure to subscribe, because what's coming next, it's even bigger than this. It's the final piece of the puzzle. And once you understand it, everything changes. Are you ready? Because this last one, it's the most powerful of them all. 7, a deep emotional connection. There is one thing that keeps a man coming back. One thing that makes him stay, invest, and commit with his whole heart. A deep emotional connection, not lust, Not beauty, not even admiration alone, but the feeling that with this one woman, he can be completely himself, fully known, and deeply understood. This is the secret that most women overlook. They believe men fall in love with what they see, but the truth is a man truly falls in love with how a woman makes him feel. A man might be drawn to looks, but he stays where he feels a soul-level connection, a bond that makes him feel seen in a way that no other woman has ever made him feel before. And when a man finds that he never wants to let it go, most people assume that emotional connection is something that just happens. That if two people get along, share laughs, and have good chemistry, then the connection will naturally deepen over time. But here's the reality. Deep emotional connection is built, nurtured, and intentionally created. It doesn't just appear, and if it's not actively cultivated, it fades. This is why so many relationships start off strong but slowly lose their spark. It's why men, even those who seemed so deeply invested at first, can suddenly seem distant, uninterested, or even emotionally unavailable. It's not because they stopped caring. It's because the emotional connection that made them feel drawn in wasn't maintained. So what does a deep emotional connection actually look like to a man? It's the ability to be fully open and vulnerable without fear. Most men walk through life wearing a mask of strength, of confidence, of certainty. The world expects them to have all the answers, to be in control, to suppress emotions rather than express them. But every man, no matter how strong, has a side of him that few ever see, a side that doubts, that worries, that feels lost sometimes. And when a man meets a woman who creates a space where he can drop the mask, where he can share his unfiltered thoughts without judgment, where he feels emotionally safe, that's when he begins to fall hard. This kind of connection doesn't come from just having deep conversations. It comes from the way you listen, the way you respond, the way you make him feel when he's opening up. Most women say they want a man to be vulnerable, but when he finally is, they react in ways that make him regret it. They judge, they criticize, they try to fix things, instead of simply holding space for him to be real. And when that happens, he shuts down. He learns that it's safer to keep things to himself, that even with the woman he loves, he can't truly be himself. And that is the moment when the emotional connection starts to break. A deep emotional connection is built in the little moments, not just the big ones. It's built when he shares something with you, and instead of dismissing it, you lean in and show genuine interest. It's built when you notice the things he doesn't say, the emotions he's trying to hide, but that you pick up on because you truly see him. It's built when he's struggling, and instead of pressuring him to talk, you give him the space to process while letting him know you're there. It's built when he looks at you and knows this is the one person who understands me in a way no one else ever has. And here's where it gets even more powerful. A man doesn't just want emotional connection. He craves it on a level he doesn't even fully understand. It's why men who seem so strong and independent can suddenly break down in the presence of the right woman. It's why men who have everything, success, power, money, still feel